So, much to the surprise of, well, just about everyone, we got some pretty interesting news about the next Battlefield game. And the most surprising part is that it all sounds like really good news. The last time we talked to the next Battlefield game, we were speaking about the last EA earnings call and some of the passing comments made by Andrew Wilson around the future of the Battlefield franchise. If I'm being honest, I think it made our skin crawl with all of the corporate jargon and really gave us a sense of deja vu as to what happened in the lead up to Battlefield 2042. But today, IGN published an exclusive interview with Vince Zampella, the head of Respawn Entertainment and Group GM for EA, who dropped a lot of very important details about the next Battlefield game alongside the first concept art that we've seen for the game so far. All of which is stuff that gives me the tiniest, ittiest, bittiest shred of hope that Battlefield may be back on the right track. Firstly, Zampella confirmed in the interview that the game is slated to make a return to the modern military setting, with a goal to take the franchise back to the quote-unquote golden era of the franchise, being Battlefields 3 and 4. Zampella's words, by the way, not mine, and we're going to touch on why that's so important in a few moments here. And this is of course corroborated by the concept art, featuring clear depictions of Apache attack helicopters and modern-esque looking destroyers in the harbour. Even the architecture featured that's clearly under siege is heading in the right direction too. And something that I found particularly interesting in the article that I wanted to highlight here as well is that IGN made mention of Battlefield returning to the modern era after stints in the World War I, World War II, but most importantly, the near future eras. The first, let's say, reservation I had when I read that modern was the era of choice here is, well, does this actually capture the Battlefield 2042 era? Is that considered modern by EA's standards? But I would say that the delineation in the article definitely confirms that no, this game is going to be set in a legit modern military era, which I think a lot of players have been yearning for quite some time now. But the setting of the game isn't the only good news here. Zampella also confirmed that specialists will not be returning to Battlefield in the next entry, and that we are returning to class-based gameplay. Further to that, Zampella stated that he wasn't there for 2042 and he didn't know the rationale behind the decision, but it clearly didn't work, nor fit what Battlefield was about. Specialists will not be coming back, and that classes, being the core of the franchise, will be returning. And if you just listen very closely for a second here, guys, you can hear the collective sigh of relief sweep across the Battlefield community. I genuinely thought there was a very real chance that specialists would be returning, noting, the general direction of the industry has been taking as of late, but it sounds like Battlefield is willing to finally separate itself from this hero shooter trend that has taken the market by storm, which I know a lot of people are going to be bloody happy to hear about. It sounds like we're going to be returning to that grounded military look, back to a cog in the machine of a wider team, rather than the game looking like the Clone Wars between a small roster of specialists. Again, great news to hear. Zampella also touched on the match sizes that will be featured in the next Battlefield game. The next Battlefield game will be returning to a 64-player match size with no plans of supporting 128 players. When we heard about this being the most ambitious Battlefield project to date from Andrew Wilson not a couple of months ago, this was also one of the biggest concerns I had with the direction of the game. I genuinely thought that we'd be returning to 128-player match sizes in the hopes of again satisfying this ambitious mantra that the game seemed to be following. And look, 128-player match sizes, yeah, they're cool in theory, but that's exactly where they stopped being cool, at the theory crafting stage. And when it came to, actually building maps and play spaces for that many players, it just fell flat. And I think Zampella said it best in the interview with, yeah, the 128 players. Did it make it more fun? Like, doing the number for the sake of the number doesn't make any sense. We're testing everything around what's most fun. So, like you said, the maps, once they get to a certain scale, become different. It's a different play space, and I think you have to design around that. So, we are designing something that is more akin to previous Battlefields. I'd rather have nice, dense, really well-designed play spaces. Some of them are really good. I can't wait for you to see them. And man, let me just tell you here, folks. The fact that this is the mentality going into the map design of the game, and you would hope to the broader game across the board, just gives me that little bit of glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, we're on the right track here. While we've only talked about the foundational pieces that are making up the next Battlefield game here, my hope is that the rationale behind this thinking extends to more facets and intricacies of the game's design, and gets us back to the standards that we know the Battlefield franchise was once hitting with the likes of Battlefields 3 and 4. And I think that's actually a really interesting point to touch on again here. The fact that Zempella made a really clear point about Battlefield 3 and 4 being the peak of the franchise, representing a time where you could get the most Battlefieldness out of a Battlefield is a really important detail. The fact that we aren't talking about, Battlefield 1 and 5 being the peak of the franchise, both of which being games that tried to, in their own way, really shake up the Battlefield formula. It really speaks to the overall design direction that the next Battlefield game seems to be taking, presumably Battlefield 2025. I will die on the hill that those two games, Battlefields 3 and 4, were the peak of the franchise, with maybe the exception of Battlefield Bad Company 2. Battlefield 3 may be more than the other two, in my opinion. If those are being used as the reference point for the game's future, then yeah, we can be hopeful. And it also sounds like that some of us are not going to have to wait too long to get our hands on the game either. Zempella confirmed that a community testing program is going to be initiated sometime next year. Now, whether this is a closed beta program or something of the sort, it's yet to be determined, but it's good to see the community hands-on experience is also being brought to the forefront here of thinking, especially as the game is still in development. There's even half a chance that the popularity of Deadlock and just how well that game's been received in its closed alpha test could have a bit of a role to play in, inspiring DICE to get the next Battlefield game into the community's hands as fast as possible. Now, this has actually been a very positive video so far, which I didn't think was possible from me about the Battlefield franchises of late. It's probably the most positive I've been about Battlefield for a very, very long time now. However, this is also where my inner pessimist needs to come out today, guys, and grounds us back into the reality that we do in fact live in. All of this news is good, but there is still plenty of time for DICE and EA to fuck this up. Everything that we've heard about the game so far is foundational at best. It's the baseline for which the rest of the game is going to be built on. To draw on an analogy here, the concreter that pours you a foundation for your house may do the best job ever and give you a foundation that could withstand a 7.1 on the Richter scale, but a shoddy carpenter that builds you a house made exclusively out of asbestos can ruin all of that progress in a heartbeat. The finer details around the gameplay, the mechanics, and even just the general quality in how everything is delivered, no matter how good the foundation, could completely unravel all of the good decisions that are seemingly being made here. And with some of the quality that we've actually gotten from this studio as of late, makes me question whether or not we can actually get a certain degree of quality back in our hands again with a Battlefield game. There is a lot of mistrust in the Battlefield community right now, and DICE have a lot of work to do in resecuring some of that trust. But I urge all of you to proceed with caution here. I myself am so damn cautiously optimistic that it isn't even funny. I really, really want this next Battlefield game to be a winner. The industry needs it, quite frankly. We need more genuine competition back in the FPS space, raising that bar of standards once again. And to see Battlefield return to its former glory will be the injection of competition that we need. It'll be the early Christmas present for 2025 that I want. But if there's one thing we should have all learned from recent games as of late, it is that you don't pre-order anything ever. Wait until it comes out. Wait for the reviews. Wait for the betas, the testing periods. Wait for your favorite creators to get their hands-on access with it and tell you guys about it. Prior to that happening, don't give EA or DICE a single cent of your money until we see that gameplay. Anything shy of that, you need to reserve your hype and remain cautiously optimistic. Because if somehow they do stuff this up, despite all of the good direction they seem to be taking so far, and they have your money already, well, guess what? The damage has been done once again, and we're right back to square one as a community. But folks, with all of that said, let me know in the comment section down below what your thoughts are on all of this news. Are you optimistic for Battlefield? Have you been burned one too many times here? Very keen to hear your thoughts. If you have made it this far into the video and you enjoyed it, then consider backhanding the like button, as it does go a long way to supporting the YouTube channel with all the algorithm and all that fun stuff. And look, if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed the content and, you know, you made it this far, then just go ahead and get subscribed. Keep yourself up to date with all future video releases. It'd be great to welcome you to the community here as well. And as always, guys, check out the links in the description. Come join my Discord and my Twitch channel in particular. It would be lovely to have you there as well. But until next time, guys, hope you all have a good one. Peace out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Cheers. Bye-bye.